Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Masculine Mastery. I'm your host, Dr. Raphael. It's a show where we talk about things that matter to men. Today we are joined by a very special guest, Dr. Raphael Olaiya. Doctor, athlete, specimen. You might have seen him, well, you would have seen him on TV, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. He's here with me today to discuss things that matter to men, things that have made him the man he is today. A man who wears many hats, and just generally catch up. We've not spoken for about a year or so because of COVID, because of work. It was great to finally see him. Raf, thanks. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Pleasure to be here.
You too. Great to see you. So, Raf, how you been? Like, what's happening in the Raf world?
Yeah, so we recently a new TV show started to air, Operation Ouch, series 11.
Uh-huh.
So still working in a hospital as a doctor,
Good.
doing that part time,
Yeah.
and launching a fitness health technology company worldwide.
Right. Okay.
That uses artificial intelligence and wearables to give people actionable insights to achieve the best life possible.
Did I explain that?
That's Fitbit, Oura Ring, and Apple Watch as well. So that's on the App Store. It's called Optimus Health.
Right. Okay. Optimus Health, guys, do check it out. I'll put a link in the description below. So, Doctor TV show, part-time startup, and I believe master's degree as well.
Yeah.
How do you keep in shape?
Good question. Keeping in shape for me is like eating or sleeping or drinking water. If I don't do it, I'm going to be off balance, and it's just going to get worse and worse. So I need to keep that homeostasis.
Okay. Yeah.
So whether it be a longer workout or a shorter workout, it could be press ups or using bands.
Right.
Take them everywhere I go to work, on set.
Right.
And I just make sure I work out. And you can modulate between more high intensity workouts if you have less time, or more drawn out strength and conditioning workouts if you have more time.
Okay. That sounds very doable actually, because I think a lot of people have this very high barrier to entry when it comes to working out. I can't work out, I'm so busy. But you've proven it. You're a doctor. You do extra shifts as well. You got a startup. You're traveling as well, and you can still look in great shape. And it's I think they say your reason, your why, should be greater than your excuses. I think in today's day and age, we do have a plethora of pre-made excuses. But as you say, your why is strong, and you reduce the friction by having bands ready, having food ready. Because we're filming this episode from Bucharest, in capital of Romania, and Raphael bought with him tuna. He bought with him nuts, baked beans, all the good protein stuff. So it's just another example of preparation leads to perfection. So Raphael, we've talked a lot over the last few years outside of medicine as well about business and entrepreneurialism. We'll talk about that more in a second. But in terms of, I ask this to all my guests, what makes a modern man? Like for you, what encapsulates modern masculinity?
What makes a modern man? What makes a good, a good modern man for me is, first of all, aligning and understanding what's important to you and where you want to be, because the way in which you operate and the goals you're going towards, they need to be about what you want, because it's different for everyone. So you need to understand your goals, what you want out of life. Number one. Number two, you need to be executing on your strategy. And there's a core fundamentals of life which, regardless of your goals or your strategy, are going to be important. That's looking after your body, integrity, and improving your fundamental skills. So communication, some element of technical work in some particular direction. That can be any direction really, but it's got to be some kind of technical work that you're trying to achieve mastery. Usually it's people's profession. Okay. Yeah. And I think the money side, which usually links into professional, and your network as well.
Okay. Right.
So just to summarize it was fitness and health. Number two, improving your technical ability. And then number three, your business and your money side. And number four, your network.
Okay. So basically, what you're saying is, to be a well-rounded, high-performing man, you must be strong, you must be socially savvy and connected, you must be financially prudent, and you must be competent, i.e. technical. Is that right? Is that a fair description? So that hits every angle, doesn't it?
And one more.
Yeah.
I think underpinning all that is integrity.
Okay, yes, of course. Okay. So you've got to be a man of principle. Yeah. Integrity, absolutely. Because you could be all them, and you could be devious.
Exactly.
And we've seen what happens with World War II, and men who are very competent, men who are very good at speaking, and men who are very sharp, but they've caused destruction in the world. And we've seen this with dictatorship, we've seen this with politicians, and corruption, etc. So absolutely, I think that is key. Integrity. So you can, and we spoke about this off air, having that philanthropic, benevolent kind of nature, wanting to give back. I know for you, Raphael, religion is very important. And does that then make you, does that guide, is that your North Star when it comes to integrity and philanthropy?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So some people have different compasses when it comes to integrity. There is something which is kind of unanimous when it comes to us as people and what integrity means, but more specifically, religion and someone's spiritual beliefs can guide their integrity in a more of a practical way.
Right, okay.
And for me, that's definitely the case. I grew up as a Christian.
Yeah.
I'm a Christian, and the decisions I make, a lot of the time, there's no right answer, I think.
Yeah.
And you just
a lot of grey areas.
A lot of grey areas.
Yeah.
And that integrity, if you go back to first principles in terms of what you want and what your values are, you usually get the right answer.
Yeah.
We talked about this concept of simulation.
Yes.
So I get this concept from my studies in data science and machine learning and statistics. The things that the way you operate your life, if you're thinking about taking on a new habit or changing your lifestyle in a particular way, we're trying to critically analyze your lifestyle the way it is now, try and run a simulation and say, if I carry on doing this, and if I do this even more than what I'm doing now, where's that going to lead me to? Yeah.
So it's almost what we call in finance predictive modeling.
Yes.
In a way. So you run a simulation and it's hypothesis testing.
Yeah.
And you're trying to get iterative results.
Exactly.
By trial and improvement.
And you're seeing where's that going? What are we optimizing for? Say, for example, going to the gym.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get a workout and it's based upon strength and hypertrophy, if you're optimizing just for that continuously, then do you want to look like a bodybuilder? Is that going to be achieving your lifestyle goals and aims? That's going to make you happy? I mean, sure, do it for a short period of time. But always trying to run the simulation to see where's this going.
And I must say, guys, Raphael's been coaching me for the last 5 years, and some really good gains. Look, that's all from his coaching. So he's right. He gamifies and quantifies progress. A lot of coaches, doctors, trainers, leaders, really, they go on whim. But I think you have to quantify, objectify results, and that's a really good schema. Really, it's a good mental schema for seeing progress, aligning your goal sets and beliefs. So beliefs, they can be spiritual. Though, what if some of our listeners say, "Look, I've got integrity. I want to be rich. I want to be ripped. I want to be successful, but I don't have a religion. I don't know which religion. So do you think, is it religion that's important, or is it having a core set of beliefs that's important?
I think that's a really good question. I think a lot of people that say they're atheists and they don't believe in anything specific, but they, as you said, they still see themselves as having integrity and being a good person. Yeah. So if they look back on their upbringing and what core principles they look at and they agree that is what a good person does. Yeah. A lot of that comes down to or is from Abrahamic religions. Whether they're astute follower of it is different. But if they understand that that's from Abrahamic religions, and that's still their principles.
Of course.
So I think,
that's I think that's a very fair comparison. So in terms of beliefs, I know a lot of people who, especially young men who went to war, who left families. Look at World War One, Battle of Waterloo, World War Two. The Vietnam War, Cold War, the Iraq, the Afghanistan War. A lot of young men went to leave, and I think in the military, because I spoke to a lot of military doctors, a lot of military personnel, they read Stoicism just to kind of mentally prepare them, and that becomes their religion in a way. They're not particularly they're not religious, but they're spiritual. And Stoicism from the Greeks and the Romans. So you've got the Spartans, you've got the Greeks philosophers as well. So do you marry that up, or do you take bits of Stoicism and leave it, or do you accept it in its entirety with your Christian values? Do you think that's a very potent synergistic relationship?
Yeah, I think it's very synergistic, and I think they're aligned, and in some ways they're one and the same, and they're from the same root.
Yeah.
I think the Bible and the religious books of Islam and the religious books of Judaism and other religions, a lot of what is their basis is what makes societies work and what makes relationships and what makes communities work. And their history books and their philosophy books and their almost instruction manuals. If you leave people and communities to their own devices, here's the problems that can happen. You know, you can dress up as much as you want with technology, however, and money, dress up whichever way you want to, but people are people, regardless of what you garnish it with. And so when it comes to marrying Stoicism with religion, I think they're one and the same in terms of what makes good societies work, or what allows people to achieve their potential and control of themselves. And Stoicism, of course, is control of your emotions and your state in as much as you can.
Okay, I think that's a very succinct synopsis of Stoicism, because there's books written about it, Meditations and The Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday. Talking about breakdown of society, and I agree, we have to have rules and regulations. When you go to a bank, you can't just go to the bank, you've got to have a queue. When you go to a school, there's an assembly. Society functions with rules. But I think a lot of people now are promoting this idea of liberalism and free-for-all, and you can insult everyone, and you can dress how you want, and all these kind of things. And we're seeing in certain metrics a breakdown of society. So breakdown of marriage, drug use is on the rise, alcohol, kind of unfortunately rapes, and these kind of things which are vices of society, sexual crime, etc., theft, corruption. It's all on the rise. Do you think, Raphael, that there's a correlation between that and the decreasing influence of the church and the mosque and the synagogue?
I definitely don't think it's a direct correlation, because we're in the safest time in history. If we go back a couple 100 years, the place was vicious, violent compared to what it is now at the big scale, at a compound level. The situation is much better. How long you can live, the chances you are being a victim of violent crime. So it's definitely not a correlation in terms of modern times and the effect and the control and the influence that marketing has and the news on pushing crimes and things that stimulate us to pay attention.
Because bad news gets more attention, doesn't it? You never hear about the plane that landed.
No.
You always hear about the plane that crashed. And speaking about isms, there's been a lot of talk, and we're currently in Bucharest, Romania, home of the infamous and famous Andrew Tate. There's been a lot of talk over the last few months about misogyny, feminism, liberalism, and we're in Eastern Europe, which is an Orthodox, 99% Orthodox Christian country, Romanian Orthodox. People generally practice a bit more observant of their faith. I don't know how that translates into crime rates, etc., etc. Going back to my first analogy. But I wanted to touch a point on really a lot of people have said with the whole Andrew Tate kind of, let's say, drama, politics, the whole scenario really, that's a direct response of men responding to rebutting feminism. What, in your estimation, Why do you think it came about?
I wouldn't put the blame all on feminism. I think it's a mixture of a few things, including some of the issues that we're seeing in modern times, that men are getting the burden of. For example, social media. It shows you, people that are doing, only the good sides of their life. So when you're trying to achieve as a man, it can make you think, okay, these people are putting a lot less effort to get a lot more success. So it make you feel inadequate, and that's the issue in modern times, because that's social media. So Andrew Tate, I think he's exposing what he calls the matrix of not believing what you see and critically thinking, hold on, what actually makes sense here? And to be able to critically think, you need to understand all of the facts here, what's objectively true, what's actually, what's valid. And a lot of the times, a lot of the things that we're told, a lot of the things that is the dogma or the status quo, it's not valid. I mean, you are doctors, we're scientists, we're trained in the empirical method. We should be trained in the empirical method. However, we do know a lot of medicine is not empirical, and it's not valid, but it's the best we've got. I'm going to try it because we don't have anything else. We've just been through a period of COVID, for example, and we saw the chain of events of unvalid opinions and unvalid laws and practices that didn't help, and in some cases detrimental. So Andrew Tate, he's kind of looking at society, the burden that young men are under when it comes to relationships as well, and saying, listen, try and do what makes sense here if you want the best chance of succeeding, but you need to work hard.
Okay. It all sounds very positive, and we're all for personal development. Why do you think he was banned then? Why such a blanket ban? Because a lot of people listen to him, and certainly I've got some benefits to listen to his monetary advice. So why do you think he was just wiped off the face of the planet?
He was getting too powerful far too quickly. And he couldn't be controlled. And he was using the system in ways that the system were losing their power. And we talked about running the simulation. If that simulation keeps going with Andrew Tate, wielding the system to his benefit in a very clever way, then he's going to be in a position that they can't control him more, so they have to cancel him. It's like in the art of war. If you see an enemy, you need to completely destroy it.
Even the kids and the grandkids, it's like just obliterate everything
as much as you can. And these are business people. These are in business. You see more treachery than in any other field, but it's dressed up, cutthroat. Do
you think it was fair?
Say again?
Do you think it was fair?
I don't know enough about it to say if it was fair or not, but on the surface, it doesn't seem fair.
Okay. And as relatively young men who are all about self-development, I think men speaking about let's put the allegations of misogyny aside. I think there was a lot of value in just him preaching, be a man, level up in your physique, level up in your finances, level up in your business. Why are you out of shape? Why are you lazy? Why are you not working? Why have you not got business? Why are you?
And what do you think if someone doesn't want to be a man in his definition?
Somebody doesn't want to be a man. I think, I believe in free choice, but I think if we're on this earth for a very short period of time, last week was Queen Elizabeth's funeral.
She was here for a long time.
It was for a very long time. We can only aspire to that level of life. But most of us will live much less than that. She had a private physician and everything, organic, etc. We're here for a very short time, And why wouldn't you want to be your best self? That's what I just don't understand. Why do you want to waste your breaths and your life and your heartbeats? You've only got a finite number of heartbeats.
Yeah. I think the quest for power, self-mastery, control, and self-optimization, that is one angle that me and you obviously look for, one goal. But perhaps some people, that's not their goal as such. I mean, it seems like an intrinsic good to have those things. But I think we need to be observant or open to some people not thinking like that, because Andrew Tate, he's optimizing for those things, which we value. Albeit going towards it in a different way. We're doctors,
a bit more nuanced.
We've signed up to the matrix or the system in such a way where we have to follow it. He hasn't.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I know as doctors we talk about mental health, we treat mental health, and he was certainly against that, saying just you don't need antidepressants. And as doctors, we we have our own views on that. We believe in therapy, whether pharmacological and whether that's talking therapy. But there's no doubt social media has massively impacted mental health, particularly men's mental health, in Love Island, etc., etc. I know you're a prime Love Island specimen. How do you think it's impacted men's mental health? Just reality TV, seeing everyone's got a six-pack now.
Love Island.
Love Island, Big Brother, all these programs. There's other ones as well on ITV, and these
reality TV.
Yeah, reality TV. Yeah.
How has reality TV affected men's mental health?
Because there has been a couple of suicides.
I think they're the stars. They're the people on the shows. I wouldn't say the general public, in terms of men, have been that negatively affected by reality TV. I think women definitely have. Because men, the burden that we have, which I think is understood, is that there's luck and there's chance in everything. And Love Island, the guys that got to go on that, a lot of it is luck, and some of them have been successful from that. And it's quick success, but we know that it's like a needle in a haystack, and that doesn't really count. It's just luck. But women, for example, because sometimes they're a bit more what's the word?
Receptive, do you think, to...
Yeah, receptive. Yeah. Receptive to body image and the storyline that is reflected from Love Island about quick success and relationships. So Love Island, it's a business show. You go on there to boost your career. You're not going there to find love. So a lot of women looking for relationships, they can be confused or misled that sort of relationship style is productive or has longevity or sustainability, and it definitely does not.
That's I think reality TV is pushing out this narrative that things are quick. Speaking about relationships, what is a sustainable relationship in your opinion? If that's not it, what is it in your opinion?
There needs to be some type of equality of sexual marketplace value. That term, when I refer to that term, I mean both parties of the relationship need to understand that this person is appropriate to my level. So we look appropriate together, and some of those levels of appropriateness, some of those variables are more superficial than others, but they still count. So it could be attractiveness, or professional attainment, or intelligence, or some personality traits like how much you like humor. So some of them have a scale of competence, or a scale that's more. It's easier to understand than others, but there still needs to be equality there. If they're not, it'll cause problems, and the more those problems are, the more the chance are that the relationship won't work. And so, not saying someone that isn't attractive can't go out with a very attractive person. All I'm saying is that across the variables, things need to level out. If a man's got lots of money and he's rich, and the woman's very attractive, then things level out.
Right. That's why you see the bald fat man with the model, because he's rich.
Exactly, and it doesn't have to be money. He can be really funny, or really socially connected, or professionally connected, or professional attainment.
So you've got these various kind of metrics which kind of accumulate and
equilibrium.
Okay, that makes sense. But because there was a huge uproar, wasn't there, in summer when Davide, the winner of Love Island, chose the 19-year-old Michael Owen's daughter. I don't know her name, and there was an 8-year difference, and social media went crazy. You might recall this. social media went crazy. Why is a 27 or 28-year-old choosing someone who's 8 years younger than him? But he's successful, he's good looking, he's in good shape, he ticks a lot of boxes. So why wouldn't he choose her? But there was a huge uproar. Why do you think that was?
A lot of women don't like men doing that because it makes it seem like they're of less value in such a way which you can't really argue against. It's very objective, so it can make some people feel less value. So of course, it's in their interest to stop that happening.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying a lot of it was jealousy, bitterness towards a young girl? That she's got something that we've not got anymore?
It's not particularly jealousy because they're just saying that we don't like the fact that men are doing that because it reduces our chances of getting more of a high value man if he's going for younger girls. So I don't see it as jealousy. I just see it as, this chess pieces on the chessboard. It's in their interest to convince men that that's not right. Putting that
guilt,
that pressure on the man. But they understand that. Why wouldn't the 20-year-old go after the high value man if she can?
Oh no!
So I won't quite call it direct jealousy to the young girl.
Okay, it's kind of, is it more kind of embitterment towards male sexual mating selections?
Yes.
Okay. Because I think if you read sociology, it's apparent that feminism has spouted, rightly or wrongly, now I'm not here to judge, spouted this conception in the last 30, 40 years that women can have it all. Career, and they can maintain their beauty, they can get promotions, earn just as much as a man, and then get any man they want. But we're seeing now, for the first time in human history, more women childless above 30 than under 30. This is the first time in human history. So more women are childless over 30 than they are under 30. So there's a hell of a... I know the word in English used is spinster. Women, it's a very old English term, 18th century, where the woman is 30 plus and not married. And a lot of them were chasing careers. And because on Twitter, I read a lot of the comments. So I go into like a deep dive on comments. And a lot of the comments about this Davide saga were from women in their 30s, saying, similar to what you said, if a man in his 20s is going for a woman who's a teenager, what chance do we have as women in our 30s to get this attractive man in the 20s? So there seems to be this...
Or even a man in his 30s.
Yeah, so exactly. So there seems to be this kind of a false narrative that's been spun, this false dream. You hear, have you been missold PPE? It seems as though a lot of women have been missold this dream. You can get anyone you want. You can have it all. You can have the career. You can have it all. You can have the man in your 30s. But like David showed, I think when you get to a certain age, as a man,
who do you think missold it to them? Sorry to interrupt.
Who do you think missold it? I think parents, schooling, education, conditioning, social conditioning, operant conditioning.
Do you remember it though? Because I can't remember a time where they were directly told that you can have all these things and you don't need to be thinking about your biological age. I don't remember a particular time. Do you?
It's hard for us to say because we aren't women, but I think a lot of it happens in the house. The mother says, choose your career. Don't worry about marriage. Keep working until you're 30 plus, because you need to be successful because you can't rely on a man.
Yeah.
And this whole concept that you can't rely on a man has made a lot of women chase careers and then make them less desirable.
You know what? I don't think, in my opinion, as you said, we're not women, so we're speculating to a degree. I don't think they were told that directly. I think it was very much reading between the lines. And reading between the lines was choice, and independence. And then secondary to that, it was the relationship situation. So choice, independence, and control of your life is, of course, the baby boomer generation. We saw that then, which, of course, women's rights, which, of course, was very important, very much needed. And one of the great triumphs of the 20th century. But yeah, with that, I had a lot of reading between the lines, and the message was, go for what you want and don't negotiate, especially when it comes to relationships.
Okay.
So I think secondary to that, that's where this issue has come up, as opposed to parents or teachers telling women directly, saying, you don't need a man. I mean, you see that sometimes when a woman's been daunted by a guy, and hell hath no fury, and she tells her children that her children or her daughters, they should not end up like her, and make sure she looks after herself to avoid financial difficulties if the guy leaves.
Yeah.
So and chasing independence, chasing control, and being non-negotiable when it comes to relationships, that leads to a situation where in your 20s or in your early years, where you're the most fertile or the most attractive, usually, you're not looking to negotiate for a relationship, because relationship is negotiation. Yeah.
So you're looking to advance your career like a man.
It's not even necessarily all about career. It's just maximizing your options and your preferences. And options is, you have options when you're in a committed relationship, especially when you're married. Those options are less in terms of following your own independence and ambition. Of course, another different set of options are given to you because you have children and you can set up your family life. But at face value, it's less from a young woman's point of view, coming from a generation that you've been told, follow what you want, be independent. I don't think they necessarily directly said, you don't need a man. I don't remember that aura. Do you?
I don't know. But now it's been spouted like, Destiny's Child and all these bands and Spice Girls, like independent boss, #boss babe. This is the big thing now.
That's different to you don't need a man. Being a boss babe is different from,
No, but I think it's related, isn't it? Like, you're a boss babe, having a man's an accessory. You don't
that's reading between the lines, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
because, objectively, you can still be a boss babe and be in a relationship. So, but
will the man want you? Because he's now maybe playing second fiddle to you. You might have a business and he's got a 9 to 5 and you've got more money than him. So will that change and skew the relationship dynamics and the power differential?
Yeah. So they're not focusing on the aspect of being negotiable in a relationship. They just, as I said, they're reading between the lines and they're making the inference that, okay, having your own choices and being independent and living your own life means that that's directly against being in a relationship. And in some aspects it might be, because you need to be more negotiable when it comes to your life. So all I'm saying is that I don't think it was directly pushed from parents or from teachers that you don't need a man. I don't think that was pushed.
Yeah, fair enough. I think I'm seeing some parts of that on social media, but maybe it wasn't in their formative years. So this is.
Would you agree? Sorry,
no.
Agree?
I think I don't know enough about it. So for me, it's just speculation. It's just complete conjecture from what I'm reading between the lines. The end result of this is there's a generation of women who are now playing catch up. They want, they're in their 30s. They've got this ticking time bomb of the biological clock, and they want young, men their age, men they grew up with, men they know similar age, but at the same time, the men that they want women much younger, but women at their age that they would have been, but they weren't ready for marriage. So it's creating almost this, a concoction where the women in their 30s are unhappy because they're not married now. They've chased their career, and then men, when they do go for the younger woman, they are chastised largely by these 30-year-old women who are saying, "Why are you going for these 20-year-old women when you've got us?" But men prefer sometimes younger women. That's been a human nature. That's been, if you look at all the Henry VIII's wives, they're far younger than him. There's a significant. If you look at most Hollywood marriages, there's like a 15-20 year difference between the husband and the wife. Johnny Depp was 20 years. Idris Elba's 17, 18 years. Leo DiCaprio, you know, how long, like 20, sometimes 20, 25 years, the age gap. He's 40.
It's more than that.
Yeah, exactly. He'll be more than that. He's 48, I think, and the girls are like, you know, in the early 20s. George Clooney and Anna, that's like a 17-year difference as well. So these are the differences usually when a man gets at his peak in terms of his success, and he's still got the looks. So he's going to go for a woman who's got the looks still. And the women who are then in their 30s are almost not embittered, but sometimes confused. Why is this happening? But I think we're on the cusp now of generational change where women are understanding that, you know, unless they change their formative 20 to 30, that kind of decade, in terms of commitment, things will get even more difficult.
Do you think they don't understand what is happening?
They don't. I think they've been hit with a bunch of lies, and the reality hits hard. And the truth hurts.
I think that they've just willful blindfoldness, because it makes sense in a very intuitive way why a man would want to go for a younger woman. It makes sense very easily. And, you know, these are professional women, a lot of the ones that are most annoyed by it because they've achieved some type of professional success. However, it's easy to focus on something that you're more in control of, which is your career.
And you can progress, you can keep progressing.
And a whole load of other advantages from focusing on that. So, but, you know, men, as you grow up, you're faced with competition, the trials and tribulations of competition as a boy and a man. So you're faced with being worse or being better, and that's constant. So, and if you turn a blind eye to it, then you won't progress and you won't be competitive. But I feel some of the women who have problems with understanding or accepting the situation when it comes to relationships and men liking a woman, they've not been honest with themselves. But I think they do understand it, but they just don't like it.
Like I said, the truth is, and I think there's a whole concept that men, we know, we have battles, many hidden battles. If player versus player, you've got to outdo the other guy. You know, you've got to be physically better than him, and in every single metric, you've got to be better than the other guy. You know, sharper, better dressed, better looking. You know, in every metric. As a man, it's relentless competition, isn't it? It's relentless, and there's this fabled narrative that women wait at the end line for the winner. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it's definitely a strategy that some women do. I mean, from some points of view, it makes sense because it's like, okay, you're reducing the risk that the guy is not going to be successful, or there's going to be some financial problems. So fair enough. However, they're putting themselves in a position where there's going to be a lot of the girls, women waiting there. So they're reducing their leverage in the relationship because, say, a couple meet when they're 18, 19. They both of them pretty much have no sort of success or accolade most of the time. So, and they're at the same level. And what's keeping them together is like kind of love. So both of them have a lot of that novelty of leverage when it comes to a relationship. But the longer you leave that, the less that is. So the more, it's more of a calculation. What am I getting here? As opposed to how much do I love this person. So I think the strategy makes sense. It's just, it's got its weaknesses to it. So you got to see what you prefer. If you prefer, okay, decrease the chances to as close to zero as possible that the guy is not going to be successful because he's already successful, number one. And however, increase the chances that you're going to be one of many. Increase chances of what some people might call disrespect, and increase the chances of being replaced. You know, quickly. And you've got to make sure your skills are up to scratch as well, whatever it may be. It could be looking after a man in particular ways, or cooking, or you know, your kind of your female nature. So there's pros and cons to it, to be honest. So I wouldn't judge any of them better or worse. It just got to be depends on what you want.
Okay, I think that's a fair assessment, and it makes sense in a way of a female. She puts herself at risk with pregnancy and childbirth. Therefore, she would want the best stock, you know, financially, genetically, the best stock. And like Charles Darwin says, it's the survival of the fittest. And the men that make the finishing line will be the fittest. The men that go through life's crucible, the crucible of life.
It depends what you're optimizing for. If you're optimizing for business and monetary success, then yeah, that's true. If you're optimizing for, let's say, like physical, that's not necessarily based upon the finish line.
Yeah. It's there. You can see it from the beginning.
You can see it, you know, and the way someone looks when they're younger isn't necessarily going to mean they have longevity.
Exactly.
You know, so it's a complex matrix. Also, and in terms of character and morality and integrity and being a good person, being philanthropic, being honest, those things are not optimized by the man at the end of that wins the race, who comes first and is the most successful. So it's not as simple as judging the best stock by the man who becomes the most successful.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think it's a bit of nuance required. And so the man who comes first, is he the proverbial high value man?
Proverbial, anecdotal.
What is a high value man?
To me, or the way in which it's
to you?
Because
to me, I've known you for a while, and to the outside world, you tick a lot of the boxes. So what is a high value man?
To me, a high value man is someone who's got integrity, someone who's understands his values and his morals. Number one. Number two, he looks after himself physically and health wise.
Okay.
Yeah. Number three, he's showing a level of commercial or societal success, whatever that may be. He needs to be seen as successful.
Validation.
Okay, yeah. Not that he's looking for validation, but society would validate him.
Notability.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Okay. Yeah. People would make a remark that he's above average in success.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good. So, at the beginning of this show, you mentioned what makes a man. So it's a nice differentiation. What makes a man versus what makes a high value man? Because everyone can be a man, but not everyone can be high value man. Is that right? A high value man is at the apex.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I think. Yeah.
But can everyone be a high value man?
Everyone can be a high value man. Everyone can be. I do believe that. I do believe. I didn't make a comparison to the competition scale comparing you to anyone else when I said society needs to see you as successful. I did say you need to be above average in success. I did say that.
Because it's like the whole value of it. It's like diamond. If we quadruple the value of diamonds, the price will drop by 3/4.
So say we're in Sparta, Greece, and everyone has the warrior mentality. Yeah. And if they don't have the warrior mentality, they'll die before the age of 5 because when they got sent to the forest to go and kill the wolf, they didn't make it through. So after that, everyone has a stoic mentality, and they're working hard, and they were in the army for a bit. I would say, and they're also a bit of a philosopher. They play a bit of music. The athletes, they wrestle, and they have a good family life. I would say all of them are somewhat high value. I would say that.
Yeah. They all have it. I agree. They all have high value, and then from that you've got the creme de la creme. But today, Raphael, we know as doctors, majority of men are not high value at all. Majority of men are out of shape, bad skin, bad hair, bad teeth, bad fashion, bad fitness, bad finances. So do you think now it's much easier than it ever has been to separate away from the rest? Because if me and you or anyone was alive in Sparta, gosh, we'd be middle quartile or middle of the range.
No, I don't think we would. If we had the thought process we're having now, I mean, we would train ourselves. Being adaptable and being competitive is something which changes depending on your environment. So if someone wants to be competitive now, if they go to Sparta, Greece, then you want to be competitive there. So you'd act appropriate. You train every day.
It'd be extra competitive.
Yeah. I think it's mentality.
And they were all, if you see the sculptures, they're all ripped, weren't they? Yeah. I don't know how accurate that, but they're all ripped, and they were not just physically dominant, but academically astute.
Yeah.
These are philosophers who have six packs. They were the proverbial gentleman gladiator, the sagacious Spartan.
I like that, sagacious.
Absolutely wise, but could tear you apart. And today's men can't wrestle, they can't lift weights, they can't dress properly, they can't, and it's...
They don't like philosophy.
They don't like philosophy, they don't read. And
they don't read.
It's so important to read philosophy. It's
so, can we blame them and make a direct comparison to the Spartans or the people in history who did lead those lives of being high value, in the way in which we're describing it? Can we compare them fairly? No, I don't think we can, because the pressures and the burdens and the effective drains on our attention, our testosterone, the drains on our testosterone, and the other types of drains that take away the chances, or take away our attention or our energy to achieve our potential, are so much more effective, so much more powerful, and so much more in our faces. And the Spartans,
no distractions,
not as many.
Yeah.
So,
no dopamine like on the phone, and dysregulation. They could focus, execute, high test levels.
Yeah, there's no Pornhub, in Sparta. So you need to work hard. Otherwise, you're clearly going to be less of a candidate than your warrior colleagues.
You'll be incel.
What's the incel in Sparta, Greece? Nothing.
You're the eunuch. Most likely sent to the fields.
Well,
it's competitive. It's very competitive, and I agree. I think that's a very good point, because as a doctor, plastics, estrogen, testosterone's declining because of environmental factors, dopamine, there's radiation everywhere. So we are designed to be less men. It's just, it's by design or by ill design. Whether it's purposeful, we don't know. But men are just designed to be less manly because of low test levels. We're carrying our phones in our pockets. We're drinking from plastics. We're watching Pornhub and all these things. Dopamine's all over the place with TikTok and YouTube and Instagram. So we're chemically designed to actually be less manly than we were 50 years ago. Because I think there was a study saying that men born today, after the year 2000, have 40% less testosterone than their grandparents. That's a shocking figure. And then fertility rates, etc. Because I know the Spartans, the Greeks, Marcus Aurelius, all these guys had multiple wives, multiple children.
So the funny thing is, I think Marcus Aurelius, he was surprisingly committed to his wife. Surprisingly. Bit of an anomaly.
Yeah, but most of the Greeks, multiple partners, because they were virile. They were strong men. And I think now we're getting erectile dysfunction because of stress, anxiety in men, mental health. We talk about this a lot anyway on different podcasts, but I think you're right. Pressures of today's man are different. And so if you apply yourself, you can really separate from the rest, can't you?
Yeah, you can. Certainly. There's more tools for separation in terms of excelling and becoming high value. There's more tools to wield that make it, if you take advantage of those tools, it can be straightforward. You just need to follow the steps.
Yeah. And as talking of steps, what steps do you have in your app that can actually make the listeners high value or make them optimize the best possible version of themselves? 2022.
So Optimus Health app, I think the most powerful tool for men to achieve their potential is it makes you reflect on what are the fundamental parts of my lifestyle that are helping me be more efficient, more productive. Exercise, what's my routine? How often do I need to work out for me to think that my workout routine is getting me to where I need to go to? Nutrition, what sort of nutrition is going to support me to do that? Do I need to meditate to keep me grounded in terms of my mentality, reduce my stress? How often do I need to do that? So it makes you reflect on those things and gives you a dashboard to see everything in one place, as opposed to things disjointed and disconnected.
Wow.
Yeah, and you can also connect to a coach, an expert, who can give you some guidance and advice. Wow. So,
okay, that's revolutionary. It really is. That is all the things we talked about, things which are, as doctors, we know, fundamental to your physiological well-being, because we can measure these. We can measure your heart rate, your pulse, your oxygen levels. We can measure your heart rate variability, your sleep time. We can measure so many things now. So this brings them all together, and it gives you a picture of health. Then we said picture of health. Here's a picture of health. But actually, you can see a picture of health.
Yeah, exactly. Picture of your health that is personalized to what you want, not what someone wrote in a textbook that was made 100 years ago.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's interesting. So, how can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram, Dr. Raphael, with 3 L's on the end, Twitter, and my website, and my email, the website of Optimus Health, which is www.optimushealth.co.uk.
Right, okay. I'll put all the links into the description. Raphael, it's been a pleasure. Long overdue catch up.
Absolutely.
I always inspired when I see you in physical shape. It makes me want to push even harder.
Vice versa.
And great to see you. Thank you, and hopefully have you on again talking about other things. Thank you, Raphael.
Thank you.